everybody, I'm Mike, and today we're adding on to the beehives. Well, the tulip poplars have started blooming and the nectar flow is in full swing. So as these hives begin to increase their population, it's time to give them some more room. I'm gonna make some frames, I'm gonna add some boxes. So let's get into it. All right, let's make some frames to go in the honey supers as the hive expands, just getting ready for them to grow as the nectar flow is about to begin. The tulip poplars have begun blooming, I noticed today. So that's going to be a huge influx of nectar for both of our hives. And I want to make sure that we have everything set to give them the best start possible. Now, there are a couple different ways that we can do this. And I'm going to show you both of them. First, I have still some of the plastic frames, the waxed plastic foundation. And this is in a wooden frame. The bottom bar is solid. There's no split there, but there is a groove right down in here for this frame to slot into. There's another groove just like it on the top bar for the frame, for the foundation to slot into, and that just holds it centered in the frame. These are held together with staples. You can also use nails. That's one type of frame that I'm going to use. The other is what I'm going to use for the wax foundation. It's also a wooden frame. Well, you'll notice the bottom bar here is divided. It's split all the way along the width of the frame. And there's a wedge cut out of the top. And I'll show you what how that all works. Again, these are stapled. Feel free to use what you prefer or what you're most comfortable with or what you have. I keep saying that the right tool for the job is typically the tool that you have. I don't want anybody to think that you've got to go out and buy a bunch of specialized gear to do all of this. Now, I'm doing this in a dedicated work area with a pneumatic stapler and a frame assembly jig. You don't need any of that. My first beehive I put together with a hammer and nails in the middle of my kitchen floor. The bar is pretty low for getting into this. You use what you have. It does not have to be perfect. There are 4 pieces that make up each frame. We're going to start with the top bar, and you can see there is a notch cut out here to fit on the legs, and they just snap together like so. The legs are the next part, and I have legs that have holes pre-drilled in them. The important part about the frame is the big end is the top, the little end is the bottom. It takes 2 of these for every frame. And then we have our bottom bar, and this bottom bar, again, it's notched just like the top bar so that it fits into the leg like so. And I have the bottom bars that are split because I'm going to use wax foundation. So let's put some of these together. I start by loading up my jig, and I don't know that there is a specific way to load this. If you can get the parts in facing the right direction, you've done it right. So I stand them all up there. Big end at the top is how I prefer to do it. You don't have to do it that way. You can start with the bottoms of the frames. And I will load 10 legs in this side. 10. Then I'll turn it around and load 10 more from the other side. So I'm going to put the top bars on next because I have the top end of the frame of the leg up. There is a removable wedge right here. You can see it's been split right there. I'm going to leave that on for now because in the event that I don't actually use all of these frames, immediately. I don't want to risk losing pieces. So put the top bars in, and I like to turn them so that this wedge is facing the same direction on all of them. Doesn't make a big difference. It makes me feel good. And give them a good thump to make sure they're down in there securely. Now the next part is the same whether you're using nails or you're using staples. And that's just secure all the top bars down. I like to put 2 staples in the top on each one, and that's about it. And sometimes I'll feel under here to make sure that staple didn't punch out the side of the leg. Once that's done, we just turn this over. I push the frame down against my surface so that the end of the leg is sticking up. And now we're going to put the split bottom bars in place. Same as the top bars, I don't think the orientation makes a lot of difference. You can put them in however you like. And now to put these together, I'm just going to put 1 staple in each end. I put 2 in the other end because I'm going to be prying on those to get them out of the hive to check on them. The bottom bars aren't really subjected to much stress. They're just there to stabilize the wax foundation. Now we'll take these out of the jig, and I like to do this just by lifting the jig straight up. And then we can take out these pieces. And then it's just a matter of getting the springs off. Slide that up and pop those frames right out there. Be careful that spring is under tension. And now I have 10 fully assembled frames ready to go in the box. All right, so let's talk about wax foundation for just a second. The foundation comes in a box. I bought a box of 50 sheets of wax foundation. Now, beeswax is a temperature sensitive product. It will become brittle in the cold. It will melt in the heat. If you look up close, you can see there is a honeycomb pattern embossed into the wax. It's the same on both sides. There are support wires. Running through the wax to provide some stability. And the end of these wires is bent over, as you can see right here, to allow us to secure it in the frame. I like to keep this in a shady spot while I'm working. Now, in order to secure this in, I need to remove this wedge right here. And I'm going to do that with my hive tool. I just put it in there and gently, very gently pry that away. and it'll break right off. I just run my hive tool down it, and you can see here it's just a little strip of wood that was cut out to make this ledge right here. Now I'm going to take a sheet of foundation, and I'm going to kind of feed it through the slot in the bottom bar all the way across. And then I'm going to lay those wire hooks right down on this ledge, like so. I'm going to stand it up on end and take my wooden wedge, and I'm going to lay it right over top of the hooks, and then just staple or nail that wedge in place. I just put 3 staples in, one on each end, one in the middle. That's all it takes. No need to get carried away there. And there we have it. Now, if you want a little extra stability, there are a couple of options. You can use wire to run horizontally across the frame and secure it that way. If you're going to do that, you need these little brass eyelets to go in the holes in the legs of your frame. We're going to put some tension on that wire, and you don't want it to just cut into the wood, because then you lose all of your tension. So this brass eyelet protects the wood from the wire, keeps it in place. The other thing you can use are these stainless steel pins. And you can see they're kind of split right here on the end. And they just push right through the hole on the end of the frame. And then the split in the pin right here goes on either side of the beeswax foundation to hold it in place. Now, see if I can do this here for you. Just feed it through there like so. And it's going to fit in there kind of tight. And then as we get close to the foundation, just move your foundation to be kind of in the middle of those 2 legs of the pin, and push it the rest of the way in. And that's really all the support you need to keep this middle from sagging, which is a real risk in the heat of a Tennessee summer. So if I'm putting new wax foundation in a hive in the middle of summer, I'm going to put some kind of support in it, whether it's pins like this or it's wire. And then this frame goes into our box. Now this is a medium super. It's not as tall as the hive bodies that I've put together, that I put the bees in recently. It's called a super because it goes above the brood chamber. There are some folks who use medium boxes for the entire hive, and it works perfectly fine for them. So it's also a lot easier to move around, because a deep hive body, when it's full of brood and bees and honey, can weigh 90 pounds or more. When a medium box is full of honey, it can weigh close to 50 pounds, 30 to 50 pounds, somewhere in that neighborhood, I believe. So they're just easier to handle for some folks. Like I said, the bees will make it work. Just do what works best for you, and the bees will make it work. I'm going to conduct an experiment I'm going to make half of this box plastic foundation and the other half wax foundation. In a recent video, I mentioned that I had never really used plastic foundation before. And so I want to try it out and see how it works. The bees are very forgiving of experiments like this. They're going to live their life and make the best of what I give them. And they'll do the same for you. So experiments like this can be fun. It doesn't inconvenience or hurt the bees in any way at all. If you want to learn some things, you want to try some things out, because as I've said before, you can ask 5 beekeepers how to do something and get 7 different answers. If you want to try some things out, this is a good opportunity. Split a box up between 2 different types of foundation, or as I said before, I recommend getting 2 hives so that you can compare them. Do one thing in one hive and do a different thing in another hive, and then see which one turns out better. The bees are a really convenient way to experiment like that, and they'll tell you pretty quickly which way they prefer, and they'll make the best of whatever you give them. A little smoke in the entrance to let them know we're here. And I'll pop off the lid. A little smoke in the hole of the inner cover to let them know we're here. And I'll take this lid off. Oh, that's stuck on there good. They're bringing in some propolis, I can see. So the hive tool helps us out here. We just pop that open. That's getting glued down pretty well. Oh, they've built some burr comb up top here. Perfectly normal. These girls might need some more room. Let's take a look. All right. I'm going to take this frame out at the end. That's not drawn out at all. Same with this one. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to rearrange some of these frames to encourage them to draw this out. This isn't drawn out either. Yeah, so we're going to do a little rearranging here. Little housekeeping. So let's pick this one up and see what we have. So I see some pollen and a little bit of capped honey up here. I don't see any larvae. I'm going to move this to the outside. And I'm going to put a couple of frames that they haven't started on right in here. Let's see what we have here. I do see larvae in this frame, but they're not capped brood yet. Same thing on this side. I see some larvae in here, but no capped brood. Make sure I keep this turned the same way when I put it back in. And like I said before, if you forget and get one turned around, you're not going to do any lasting harm. It might slow the bees down for a little bit, but the bees will figure it out. And these frames are stuck together. Let's kind of pry them apart and lift it up, and we have all kinds of capped brood right in here. I love this. There's a drone cell right there. You can tell the drone cells because they stand up almost like the end of a bullet, while the worker cells are much more flush to the comb. The difference between a drone cell and a worker cell: a drone cell is formed when the queen lays an unfertilized egg, and more capped brood here and lots of it. This is beautiful, absolutely perfect. As I was saying, a drone cell is when the queen lays an unfertilized egg. A worker when the queen lays a fertilized egg. And we have larvae, we have pollen, we have honey. Very nice. Things look great in this one. I probably will give these girls some more room because with the tulip poplars blooming, they're going to fill up fast. So I'm going to scoot this over, just using my hive tool to pry it over a bit. And then I'll put this empty frame in here. And if I need to relocate it later, I can. And I think I may have rolled some bees or pinched some bees because they're getting a little aggressive now. There we go. So I'm going to put a super on here. Now these are the frames that I just built. And this is our experiment. 5 frames of black plastic waxed foundation, 5 frames of wax foundation. And we'll see how they draw it out. Now there are clear criteria for this experiment. If they draw out the plastic foundation, even if they do it a little slower than the wax foundation, that's fine. I'm going to leave it alone. But if I see them ignoring the plastic foundation or building floating comb that isn't attached to that foundation, I'm going to immediately pull this wax and replace plastic. And I'm going to immediately pull this plastic and replace it with wax. So that's as close to a perfect result as you can probably get. We've got larvae, we have capped brood, we have capped honey, we have pollen. We have all of the ingredients of 2 very successful honeybee colonies. So I put on a honey super, and that's probably going to be part of the brood chamber for this hive, a deep hive body with a medium, and then everything above that would just be honey storage. I'm not planning to harvest any honey from either of these hives this year. As I mentioned, with the tulip poplars blooming, the nectar flow is well underway, and these bees are still building up their population, so they won't be in a position to take full advantage of that. And we'll need to leave them as much honey as we can to help them get through the coming winter. So not planning to harvest any honey at all. If we do, that's just bonus. But the other thing is, we have 2 very different hives here. We have one that's just starting to cap off some brood, and one with a couple frames of fully capped brood. And that's perfectly normal. That's why I encourage people to start off with 2 beehives, and so that you can compare. Sometimes you do have one that starts a little slow, or one that is an overachiever, and it's perfectly normal. And I really benefited when I was starting out by having the 2 hives to compare what was going on between the 2. Overall, though, this is a complete success story. If you're starting out with bees, if you've been keeping bees for a long time, and you have stories to share, or thoughts, or anything to add that maybe I've missed, drop it in the comments below. There's a link to our Discord in the description. Would love to start a conversation there. Be sure to subscribe, because I've got a lot more content coming, as I plan to take you folks on this entire journey from brand new packages to fully established and productive beehives. So until next time, thanks a lot, everybody.